Chinese nationals have been tricked into joining the Russian army, according to several Chinese prisoners of war who spoke at a press conference in Kyiv. They were captured by Ukrainian forces in early April in the Donetsk region. According to their testimony, they had come to Russia believing promises of legal employment. One of them said he expected to work in rehabilitation for wounded soldiers, but was instead sent directly to the front lines.
When
I spoke with the recruiter, we talked about rehabilitating wounded soldiers, something very much needed in the Russian army. That's the job I believed I was coming to do. But when I arrived in Moscow, the registration process began, and from that point, there was no way out. Even going to the toilet, I was escorted. I know someone, likely an Arab, tried to commit suicide in Rostov. Why? I don't know. We lived in filth, with no water or electricity. They fed us once a day. A handful of rice as a reward. We were forced into hard labor. Real war is nothing like the movies. I want to apologize to my parents. I just want to go home.
In Russia, the prisoners say no translators were provided. All communication and documentation was in Russian, leaving them to rely on gestures to get by. Although they were issued debit cards for personal expenses, they were unable to use them. Russian soldiers reportedly confiscated the cards to buy fuel and power stations. Moreover, another Chinese prisoner of war, Zhang Wenbo, said that in the training camp, an instructor took away his phone and demanded a bribe for the opportunity to make a call.
They first offered a job in construction, but once we arrived, it was something completely different. On my first day in the training camp, my phone was taken away. The next day, the instructor claimed it belonged to him and said I'd have to pay to use it. When I asked how much, he showed me 3 open palms. I ended up paying 15,000 rubles. If you refused, they threatened to send you to the front. I deeply regret coming here. There was no benefit. I hope I can use this interview to reach my family. No one should do this.
According to Reuters, up to 200 Chinese citizens may currently be serving in the Russian army. They are allegedly being recruited through online platforms and social media, often lured with promises of legal employment and high salaries. Chinese prisoners of war say influencers and bloggers are actively involved in spreading these ads.
In Chinese social media, especially TikTok, you see people in uniform. In China, being in the military is seen as prestigious, but not everyone can get in. So some people may be tempted by the idea of serving elsewhere since they can't do it at home.
The Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation, Rudenko Andrei, was denied that Chinese nationals are serving in the Russian military. Kremlin-aligned media continue to insist that they are not there, but the presence of these captured soldiers is living proof to the contrary. They have expressed their willingness to return home and to be included in potential prisoner swaps with Ukrainian servicemen. They also point to Russian propaganda as a key factor that convinced them to take part in the war.
In China, the media promotes friendly relations with Russia. That campaign probably made people more willing to trust Russia and take part in this. Before coming to Ukraine, all the news about the war was about Russian victories, that Russia had captured this place or that place. That's the kind of information people see.
The ministry stated that the Chinese government has always urged its citizens to avoid war zones and to refrain from any form of involvement in armed conflicts. However, Reuters reports that Chinese officers have been seen in Russian rare positions, allegedly studying modern combat tactics. Reported by Alexander Zaslavets, Nikita Skoblikov, UATV News.